How far back does the notion that you were reporting about Brady, you'd be shocked if he was returning to New England? How far back does that go? Because we're hearing he was so upset about everything in last training camp and so on and so forth. How far back does that go?
Well, I think that comes in stages, and one of the kind of elements to what was tricky about reporting throughout this scenario was the fact that things do change, right? If in, let's say, after the loss to the Titans, yes, it felt at that moment like Tom was resigned to the fact that he was leaving, that was the end. But you still, in so many situations like that, I mean, you could have technically, as soon as the Saints lost, you could have reported at that point that Drew Brees was really edging toward retirement, and you actually would have been accurate, but ultimately proven to be wrong, to kind of use your phrasing from before. And in this sequence, I think that when I finally said that I would be stunned if he returned to New England, I was supremely confident. I knew that he wasn't going back to New England. And it got to the point with him where not only was he resigned to leaving and comfortable with the notion of leaving, but he also understood that he knew that there was going to be a market, even though you couldn't get into really talking. He understood that the options were going to exist and that ultimately he would have been comfortable with at least one of those options. And at that point, it was pretty clear that he was gone.
Okay, and in the narrative that we've heard about the reason why he was not returning to New England, or was adamant about it, or was resolved, let's put it that way, would it have been, let's just use another example in the NFL of a GOAT quarterback with GOAT statistics and a first ballot Hall of Famer that's coming, albeit he's 5 Super Bowl championships shy of tying Tom Brady. You've got Drew Brees in New Orleans. Which one would have been made Brady less adamant? The relationship that Brees clearly has with Peyton, that he did not have Brady with Belichick, or the weaponry that Brees clearly has around him in New Orleans that Brady did not have in New England? Which one do you think played a bigger part for Tom?
That's a very good question.
Thank you, sir.
I would say both, and I would say from the aspect that Bill Belichick is a little different than Sean Payton in the fact that he is both the head coach and the general manager in most, maybe not by title, but by power. So when you add both of those things together, when there's this dynamic that exists where maybe the friction with Belichick has almost deteriorated to resignation. Like it was what was once a marriage that might have had some arguments had turned into a marriage that was simply together for comfort. Just let each other kind of do their thing. Coupled with the fact that it was very clear that coach who has the power to pick the players was not really interested in loading up, wasn't really looking to say, you know what, Tom, you got a couple more years, let's get one more together. That just wasn't the way it was ever presented to Tom, and as a result, I would argue that Brady felt more comfortable than ever with those things considered leaving.